I have been very blessed in my lifetime to be witness to really countless miracles. It depends, of course, on my paying attention. And then I realize also that a miracle is a broader definition than maybe many of us think about, that miracles is quite simply a work of God at work in our lives. My first role as a Dominican, my first sort of official role, was to serve as a chaplain in a hospice in Denver, Colorado. And I, to this day, continue to feel the impact of that experience and feel very blessed by the time that I spent at the hospice of St. John of Jerusalem. I saw miracles there. I saw people come in anxious and afraid and leave calm and at peace and full of love. I think I can genuinely say that. They were full of love. I remember one occasion very early on when I entered a woman's room, and I was dressed in my habit, of course, and she greeted me with this question, "Are you an angel?" And she was serious. She was very hopeful. I was very sorry to tell her that I wasn't an angel. In a very different sort of setting, I remember a conversation I had with a person that was full of anger and bitterness and resentment about all sorts of things that had occurred in his life over the course of decades. And quite candidly, it was difficult to be with him for even an hour. But then something happened. He changed. He eventually had learned that he was going to die. And then our journey took a very different turn. And through it all, I saw God's hand in that journey as clearly as I did in those moments in the hospice. A few years ago, I came to know a couple well. I knew them before they began dating, and then all through their courtship, and I was blessed to see something pretty wonderful. I got to witness a couple be part of a miracle. I saw God very much at work in their lives. I got to see a couple who struggled, but they saw something in their relationship that helped them to persevere in their journey together. And then I was honored to witness their wedding. Over the past few years, I've seen people struggle in their studies and their relationships and the curveballs that life will throw us from time to time, but they made it. They persevered. With God, they embarked on new journeys. And I think about these examples, and I think about this gospel reading that we just heard. It's the same reading that we heard only a few days ago on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Mary is told something that sounds pretty crazy, inconceivable. But instead of saying, "No, I won't do it, it's too difficult," instead of responding in fear, she perseveres. She says, "Yes." If we are able to imitate Mary's faith and believe in her Son, we will be able to find that meaning as well, but it may not come easily. We will have questions, as Mary did. The opinions of our ever-increasing secular culture may suggest that we are deluded, that we are foolish to believe in something like our God. Then when confronted with our own suffering or death or that of those that we love or evil in the world or the great challenges that we face in our own lives, common sense may tell us one thing: Our culture may tell us one thing, but our faith will tell us something else. These examples are from people of faith, people living through their faith, people living into their faith, persevering in the face of difficulties and challenges and sometimes fears and bitterness and anxiety, but persevering nonetheless because of their faith that in the one who became one of us to show us there is a way that suggests that what we go through, we do not go through alone. You know, St. Athanasius said, and I'm quoting him, God became man so man could become God. God became man, which we are going to celebrate in a few days, so that God could become man. That's extraordinary, isn't it? And yet that is what we are going to celebrate in a few days, that God sent his Son to show us another way, and that other way is to be God-like. And what is God? God is love. And we are called to trust in a God that can do anything, even the seemingly impossible. You know, there are times when we might say about our lives, well, it's, just a relationship, or it's just a college career, or maybe it's something much more, a life of bitterness and anger. Maybe it's our own mortality. But all of these things for us could, when we are in the midst of them, feel like they are impossible for us to handle, to experience. Our faith tells us otherwise. Our faith tells us that we are not alone. Our faith tells us that if we recognize Christ and that the Christ's among us, then we recognize what Mary recognized. Nothing will be impossible for God. Let us pray for one another. And may we always hold fast to our faith.